China has achieved a great deal over the past 70 years. Its economy is the second largest in the world. Its mid-income population has surpassed the entire population of the U.S. China is building 3 megacities around Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangdong province. But that's the past. 2020 will see a new chapter in China's history, a bold vision for its future. The country is about to eradicate all absolute poverty among its 1.4 billion people and achieve what it calls a moderately well-off society. What challenges will China face? What obstacles lie ahead? Watch our special series on Closer to China, China 2020, Vision and Challenges. What is the nature of ecological governance in China, and why is it so important in 2020? About 15 years ago, a senior minister told me that when choosing between economic development and a clean environment, we will always prioritize development. That prescription has expired. That way of thinking is history. Since the beginning of reform and opening up in 1978, and the shift to economic development as the overarching priority of the nation, the Chinese government gradually has come to realize the seriousness of ecological degradation and to recognize the importance of ecological conservation. At the 17th CPC National Congress in 2007, the concept of ecological civilization was first proposed. At the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012, the building of ecological civilization was a central element of the national 5-pronged overall plan. And at the 19th CPC National Congress in 2017, President Xi Jinping stressed the need to speed up reform of the ecological civilization system in order to build a beautiful China. What kind of ecological civilization should China build? What challenges or obstacles lie ahead? Faced with the grim realities of devastating environmental pollution and degraded ecosystems and the practical realities of resource constraints, what real-world policies are being enacted? What is China's ecological governance? How should President Xi's thought of ecological civilization be understood? We find out to be closer to China. Here, home to the herd. Here on the slope, tens of acres of greenwood flourishes, pine, apricot, poplar, sea buckthorn. But 70 years ago, a barren hill of sand was all to be seen.
我从小就经历了风沙肆虐，白天点油灯，晚上偷渡忙的这种情况呀，亲自经历过。
Matoshan is remembered as a mountain with deep valleys and infertile land. The wind here was heavy and sand was everywhere. For villagers, even coming and going was difficult. Simply put, this remote place was not for living. People moved away. Matoshan turned empty. Once the land of his birth, now the land is deserted. At this site, Li Yunsheng felt dejected.
荒山不长草，是风吹石头跑，是这种环境，是非常困难。啊，要想在这里生存，要想在这里发展，首先你想到的第一件事，就是要植树造林，改变这个生态，改变这个环境。
Li gave up his once comfortable living environment and good job to devote himself to the cause of ecological development of Matoshan. He planted trees year after year, never stopping. Often he'd come to the mountain to care for the trees as if they were his children.
由于这个地方呢，风沙大，降雨量小，干旱，冬天的话呢，极端天气多。 啊，温度最低的时候要在30多度，这个树苗在这里呢，成活率很低。所以我在这个地方种树，你们看到那一片片的那个大树啊，那都最少种过6次，才长起了那么多树。种树 每年补栽，每年种树，投入是越来越多。在最困难的时候呢，儿子念书没有学费，在学校里面吃饭交不上伙食费，吃不上饭。还有的是什么呢？些朋友不理解，家人也不理解。你放的好多人的钢筋你不过，你跑在这个山上面吃苦费力又费钱，你不是神经了，你疯了。有好多人都是这样说我的。
How has he persisted over the years? Li Yunsheng explains with a simple and honest smile.
当时我已经种下去已经有5000多亩树了。如果我当时放弃了，啥也没有了，树也没有了，钱也没有了，就丢一个人灰溜溜的了。所以我没有办法，只有在这里坚持，一直都坚持到今天。你们看看，这到处都是大松树，满山遍野。我觉得我坚持的值得。我觉得我这10几年吃苦，我值得。
In his mind, the logic is clear.
没有生态的话呢，绝对不可能发展经济。人都不能在这里待了，你还能发展经济吗？
Ecological protection and development takes a long time, but in the end, nature will reward.
透过这几十年植树造林，这个林木多了，这个树多了，这几年的降雨量就大了。这个好像南方的气候了，我说，经常下雨。
Matoshan is alive. Hares, pheasants, and foxes run everywhere. On wild grass, under pine trees, herds of cattle roam about. Li Yunsheng took on cattle farming, and under his employment and guidance, some villages living at the foot of the mountain, including cow herds, were gradually lifted out of poverty. Li's debts, accumulated by planting trees, is now paid off. And though he has money to build a new house, still he lives in a simple flat-type room on top of Matoshan.
我这个退休以后，我那个老二还要加我的班，让他再坚持。
Tree planting is his life passion, his life commitment, his life fortune. Li Yunsheng reflects the qualities of Yoyo people. It is the Yoyo Spirit. The forage coverage in Yoyo, like the microcosm of Matoshan, has risen from 0.3% in 1949 to 55% today. What once was barren land has become an oasis. Credit the leadership of the cadres and the participation of the masses. However, for Yoyo, there is a second problem. Green is the wealth of nature, but where is the wealth of the people?
Over the past 70 years, we have turned the barren land into an oasis through unrelenting desertification control and tree planting, giving birth to the valuable Yoyo Spirit. Based on the sound ecological environment, we have vigorously grown over 26,000 hectares of quality grain crops and 500 hectares of premium Chinese medical crops, transforming pure ecological forests to economic forests. A whole value chain of ecological sheep has been actively promoted, with 750,000 sheep raised countywide. Meanwhile, clean energy has been promoted, with the total installed capacity exceeding 1.3 million kilowatts. No efforts have been spared to build cultural, tourism, and sports industries. Next, we will bear firmly in mind General Secretary Xi Jinping's trust to better facilitate the transformation of lush mountains and clear waters into invaluable assets, so as to share more ecological dividends with the public.
Wang Yue is a shepherd, nearly 70 years old. Every morning at 8 o'clock, he drives his sheep to the flat grasslands not far from the pen. In 2012, he leased his own arable land to others. Along with villagers in the vicinity, he came to Jiangqian Huling, 30 miles from home. Here in Shangheling, an ecological livestock farm is his work and livelihood. He knows the habits of the sheep. Over the years, with a call or a whistle, he can lead the flock to where he wants them to go. He knows the various weeds on the pasture and the rules of their growth. He knows where the grass is healthy and where it is sparse.
由于这要入后车为啥？因为后的票足多，他车的草杂。
The flock lower their heads and keep on grazing. Wang Yue has his own concerns. The pasture for grazing needs to be replaced time and again, called rotational grazing. In doing so, the grass is re-energized to regrow and the land is less likely to lie waste. For years, Wang Yue's wife has been helping to look after the ewes and lambs, adding forage, changing water, shoveling dung. While working, the couple seems at ease. Despite their age, they rarely show fatigue. At the local canteen, like Wang Yue, the workers here were once looking to make a decent living. Though trees were in abundance, they wouldn't think of starting a lumber business, not wanting to revisit the ecological degradation of the past. But the ecological livestock farm was ecology-friendly, and villagers came from afar to settle here. Trees maintain grass, grass feeds sheep, sheep produce value for humans, while humans grow trees and tend grass in return. It's a virtuous circle. Every afternoon at 3 o'clock, Wang Yue takes a whip and drives hundreds of sheep to the south slope, across a trail of wild grass and mountain ridges. He likes to sit on the edge of a grassy mound, watching his flock while puffing his old pipe. It's summer vacation. The third daughter, together with her husband and 2 kids, came here from Luyuan to see Wang Yue.
上来这，
爷给你送瓶水。
给我送水了，老爷不渴。
老爷吧。老爷，为什么拿着东西呀？
哦，拿去了。
这是什么？
别了吧？这是
鞭子，打烊的鞭子。
大烊的吧？
打烊鞭子。
哦。
The talk is the good life, brought about by ecological improvement in Yoyo.
上初中那会儿吧，我记得每年开春的时候吧，那个刮风比较大嘛，那个风刮到脸上，那个就可疼的那种沙子嘛，打到脸上可疼了。这几年就比较好一点了，因为我们这几年开窗也回来过，刮风就没有那种感觉了。反而怎么说呢？一回来以后就是看到的就是一片绿。
Returning to the farm, he counts the numbers on the way. The moment the fence is bolted, a day's work is over. No canteen tonight. Instead, Wang Yue and his wife set up a wooden board on the brick bed and have a meal with their daughter and her family.
大大宝，你要不要吃西瓜？你要吃西瓜的话，你去水龙头那洗个手去，洗个手再吃。
These watermelons are grown with the help of manure from the factory.
妈妈，什么是毛巾？
让你姥姥给你拿一个。
After dinner, a chat with fellow workers is a must before bedtime. The herd, the ecology, their incomes, they talk about everything.
我这个地方可偏你们别觉这个空气好。
哎呀，早起起来这就和下雪的，那很美了，都的。其实人那个腰都是毛的。
以后的煤也不出了。
学白呀。
那我两头一个月挣7000块钱，我挣4000，他挣2000。
老板给咋办呢？
老板没要，也天不要。
没要是2千。
我们办纸货交了，他2000，我4000，6000。 一天一个人生活费不足10块，有600，这天气。
In Zhangjianhuling, the ecological livestock farm is the core of the transformation. From sheep herding to sheep breeding, from manure treating to pasture planting, from deep processing of sheep products to continuing the culture of sheep rearing, here natural ecology is preserved and developed, and communal wealth is accumulated and shared. Zhangjianhuling exemplifies green industry in Yoyo, combining ecological preservation, land appreciation, and income growth. A new Yoyo is emerging.
Each day, there are millions of stories. Each one can open new perspectives, new possibilities. Wherever you look, we are there to see, discover, explore. We put the pieces together to find what really matters to you, all around the world, all around the clock. Our reporters are at home across the globe. From our headquarters in Beijing and production centers in Washington, Nairobi, and London, China Global Television Network. Stories from across the globe, reaching people across the globe. CGTN. See the difference.
Why is inheriting and carrying forward the Yoyo spirit said to be a significant step in building ecological civilization in China?
Personally, I think the Yoyo spirit tells us that the building of both green development and ecological civilizations requires a sound ecological environment. That is to say, building an ecological civilization does not mean inaction facing our current ecological environment. On the contrary, we can make sustained and unremitting efforts and achieve tangible results. This is particularly so in northwestern China. This, I believe, is the greatest inspiration to us from the Yoyo spirit.
Coming up next, 2020, as we begin the new decade, we look back. Where has China's ecological environment improved? Where has it deteriorated? How has China's ecological governance changed? All this and more next on Closer to China. During the course of its remarkable developmental history, China's domestic policy has transformed from prioritize economic growth to coordinate economic growth with ecological civilization, from pollution first, treatment afterwards, to control and prevent pollution. China has witnessed a profound change of its ecological development model. According to China's national forest inventories, over the course of 70 years, China's forest coverage has soared to about 23% of landmass, nearly 3 times what it was in 1949, and forest reserves have increased by 8.5 billion cubic meters. China now has the world's largest and fastest growing forest resources, and its ecological environment is improving constantly. The transformation of Yoyo County exemplifies China's building of ecological civilization. Saihanba Forest Farm in Hebei, Dongjaigang Mangrove Reserve in Hainan, and the Qinghai Tibet Plateau in West China, and Anji County in Zhejiang. In all these places, green has become the dominant color, reflecting ecological development, just like in Yoyo. How should the evolution of China's building of ecological civilization, both in theory and practice, be summarized since the founding of the People's Republic of China, and what changes have been made here?
The first stage, the establishment of the People's Republic of China until the reform and opening up. a stage that fulfilled Mao Zedong's thought of diligent and thrifty and to build the country through thrift and hard work. The second, the beginning of the reform and opening up from 1977 to 1989, a stage that fulfilled Deng Xiaoping's environmental protection as a basic national policy. The third, from 1989 to 2002, it was a stage that fulfilled Jiang Zemin's strategic thinking of sustainable development. The fourth, a decade from 2002 to 2012. It was a stage that fulfilled Hu Jintao's thinking on building a resource-conserving and environmentally friendly society. The fifth stage began in 2012, and it's called a stage guided by Xi Jinping's thought of ecological civilization.
Coming up next, how does ecological civilization change the way of thinking about environmental protection? How does ecological civilization enhance ecological governance for China and for the world? All this and more next on Closer to China. Drawing ecological red lines, implementing environmental protection supervision of central leadership, banning the entry of foreign garbage, the launching of trash sorting regulation in Shanghai. In recent years, China has developed innovative measures for ecological construction. The rise of Xi thought provides new guidance for solving China's ecological environment problems in the new era. It also injects fresh energy in advancing the building of ecological civilization. Ecological civilization is a critical part of socialism with Chinese characteristics for the new era. What is the theoretical sources for ecological civilization?
In a nutshell, there are three theoretical sources of an ecological civilization. First, it is a Marxist ecology. Marx once said that a harmonious development between man and nature depends on transformed relations between man and society. That is to say, having a harmonious development between man and nature depends on our mode of production in life. The second is China's traditional culture, which calls for cooperation and harmony between man and nature, and see them as a harmonious whole. Thus, an ecological ethic of indefinite responsibilities was born, unlike the Western definite contracted responsibility ethics. For instance, indefinite responsibility means that I shoulder indefinite responsibility for my ancestors, like the grandfather of my grandfather. I also shoulder indefinite responsibility for my offspring, like the grandson of my grandson. Third, the Western concept of sustainable development. In the 1960s and 1970s, Marx's prediction unfortunately came true. A century after Marx, the traditional industrial development model brought about a series of environmental disasters. As a result, some visionaries of the West started to reflect on the traditional way of production and life. After repeated reflections, struggles, and decades of hard work, in 2000, the UN identified the concept of sustainable development and listed 17 goals covering population, resources, and the environment, among others.
Xi Jinping thought on ecological civilization is an important part of Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. For example, green is the third of the 5 major development concepts that has been propounded for the economy. So how would you characterize Xi Jinping thought on ecological civilization? In particular, how does it deal with the natural tension between economic development and environmental protection?
Xi Jinping's thought of ecological civilization reflects the essence of socialism. One critical feature is fairness and justice. For people who get rich first at the cost of the majority's ecological environment, regions get rich first at the cost of other regions' environment, and a generation gets rich at the cost of later generations' ecological environment. It is environmental unfairness, which also equates to social unfairness. What is the ecological civilization for? To coordinate the overall environmental benefits of different regions, groups, and generations. which are the fundamental requirements of socialism. Xi's thought of ecological civilization also demonstrates people orientation, or our fundamental purpose of serving the people. The environmental issues, in essence, are major issues involving people's well-being. So people have the right to know, participate in, and supervise environmental issues. The building of an ecological civilization encourages all people to actively participate in environmental protection.
This grand vision of a community of shared future of all nations, at the same time the importance of ecological civilization. Can China facilitate the ecological civilization thinking that it does domestically with the vision, with the international vision that has been proposed?
President Xi proposed a crucial concept. Man and nature form a community of life. In rural civilization, people worked for survival, a community of life. In industrial civilization, wealth was sought after, a community of profits. The life community of man and nature proposed by President Xi marks an era of the community of ecological civilization. In this era, people are interrelated, as we all have a stake in each other. We are to jointly bear the irreversible environmental crisis that knows no borders in an integral ecological system. Against such a context, a community of ecological civilization calls for the building of a community with a shared future for mankind to jointly address the environmental issues confronting us. An ecological civilization could serve as a platform to illustrate the community of a shared future for mankind. Some Westerners neither believe in the building of the community with a shared future for mankind, nor the Belt and Road Initiative, as they witnessed their rise through conquest, wars, colonization, plunder, and shifts in ecological costs. It is hard for them to believe that China, with such a big economy and a fast growth rate, can be strong and not seek hegemony. It is because they don't understand Chinese civilization and never read Chinese history. China has never engaged in imperialism or colonialism. I think ecological civilization would be a good entry point to explain the community with a shared future for mankind. With ecological civilization as the entry point, we can explain the relation between a community of a shared future for mankind and Chinese civilization, and further explain the cultural and historical genes, green, peace, open, inclusive, and sustainable, that are embedded in the community. That is why China could offer its experience to global environment governance and sustainable development.
China has been talking about reducing pollution for a long time. This time seems different. Ecological governance entered the pantheon of highest national priorities when President Xi Jinping included green as the third of his 5 development concepts. Since the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012, China has formulated more than 40 plans for national ecological governance, stressing accountability and supervision. For example, policies enacted include banning foreign garbage sent to China, strict trash sorting regulations, and compensation for ecological protection. On the whole, China's ecology is improving, but there are interest groups, such as certain industries, that seek to retard, if not block, anti-pollution measures. That's why achievements thus far have been unstable. Best is to recapture how traditional Chinese culture venerates the environment. Today, what works is interplay between theory and practice. Theory is Xi Jinping's thought of ecological civilization. Practice, for example, is the spirit of Yoyo County's green development and the Belt and Road Green Development International Alliance. Collectively, this constitutes ecological governance. President Xi's vision of ecological governance is for building a beautiful China. It also sets an example for a community of shared future for humanity. In our next episode of China 2020, Vision and Challenges, we explore China's social governance to be closer to China.